Bună seara, astăzi la interviurile telejurnalului avem un invitat cu greutate, domnul David Luna, senior director în cadrul Departamentului American de Stat, Ministerul American de Externe. Domnul Luna este expert anticorupție și anticrimă organizată. Domnia sa a venit la București pentru o conferință internațională privind economia subterană și impozitarea și a avut amabilitatea de a ne acorda un interviu. Mr. Luna, welcome in Bucharest and thank you for giving us this interview. I will start with a maybe simple but important question. Can you explain us from your angle how is an ordinary citizen, an ordinary Romanian citizen injured by corruption or illicit trade? And why is vital for Romania to fight these threats?
Well, thank you very much, Alex. I'm very much happy for this opportunity. The issues of anti-corruption and countering illicit trade are very important to really advance democracy, to really promote economic growth, strengthen the rule of law. And a key feature of a strong democracy is for civil society and people to really have really good governance and expect integrity both in government and in the market. Anti-corruption efforts, voice, accountability, transparency are very important and go to the heart of a strong democracy. And when government officials end up embezzling assets and stealing funds, obviously there's less resources to be able to fund hospitals, to be able to fund education, to be able to fund infrastructure that I think are critical to the future of any country, but certainly in Romania. So I think, again, when assets are stolen from the country, they're really stealing the dreams and aspirations of the Romanian people for a better way of life.
In terms of our cooperation, what exactly our American ally expect us to do to fight these threats in this part of the world?
The issue of economic security is very important to the United States. We very much appreciate working with Romania to address issues like corruption, issues like crime, issues like terrorism, because I think it goes to the stability, not only for the stability in this country, but for the stability regionally and more globally. So we're working together, the U.S. and Romania, including our law enforcement and security agencies. We're working together towards a better future to protect the safety and welfare of our people and the welfare of our partners as well. The issue of organized crime is similar to the cancer of corruption. When organized crime begins to profit from the illicit activity, it begins to weaken the governance structures of any country, but certainly in a country like Romania, it is important to be vigilant, and this is why I think U.S.-Romania cooperation is very, very important to ensure that economic security.
In your last speeches, you have spoken about the unholy trinity, corruption, organized crime, and terrorism. How could be corruption and organized crime based here in Romania sources for financing terrorism in other parts of the world, or maybe war groups in our proximity?
The issue of criminal enterprise is obviously very profitable, not only for organized criminal groups, but any threat network that is interested in funding either an a criminal or a terrorist campaign. But the issue of illicit trade, human trafficking, the cybercrime, these are very profitable areas, very lucrative. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars that are used in many instances to corrupt as well critical rule of law institutions. So with so much money, illicit wealth, it's easy for any group, whether it's criminal or terrorist, to tap into. And again, these are the threats, and certainly the U.S. and working with Romania, we are very much concerned because, again, it goes to ensuring the stability of this country, the stability of the region. But more and more terrorists are obviously profiting from criminal enterprise.
In January, British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond underlined the importance to stop ISIS recruits traveling through Bulgaria and Romania.
The issue of terrorism impacts all countries, all communities, and there are many sympathizers in any country, as we have seen in the past year in Europe, whether it's France or Denmark. The U.S. has issues as well. Australia does too. And so it's always a concern to be again vigilant against those who are sympathizers of groups like ISIL, Al-Qaeda. But in this part of the world, we need to keep an eye, as he said, on foreign fighters, because through weak structures, especially borders in all parts of the world, but in this part of the world, closer to Syria and Iraq, it's important to be working together on law enforcement and security to ensure that we keep an eye on those who do not mean well for our respective governments and those who are going, obviously, to the threat theater in Iraq and Syria, using Romania or other countries as transit.
I will change the topic and I will ask you about asset recovery. Why the forfeiture of the proceeds of illegal activity is crucial, and finally, what should happen with the forfeited goods?
Asset forfeiture, asset confiscation is a very powerful tool in law enforcement. It is a way to be able to freeze stolen, really proceeds of crime and corruption. These funds could go to really promote their future, brighter future, to finance education, healthcare, and critical infrastructure. It's important that these criminals and corrupt officials do not confiscate the economic potential of countries like Romania.
Our authorities recover only a small percent, less 10% from persons convicted for corruption. What do you recommend to our authorities in this matter?
Well, 10% is a low number, and I think another area that law enforcement could use, he says, is to strengthen their own capabilities and law enforcement systems to be able to detect even more by investing in technology, by investing in forensics, and again, by strengthening the overall capability of law enforcement here in Romania to, again, finance the future of all Romanians. So I hope having the commitment and the will to improve laws, to improve systems that can detect the other 90% that go undetected.
Maybe we need also a new institution.
Obviously, you got institutions here in Romania, but again, strengthening the capabilities and the capacities of existing law enforcement is very important. Whether there should be an asset forfeiture directorate as either part of the police or as an independent is something that obviously the parliament and the people will decide, working with all parts of the government and Romanian society.
In the last time, the parliament haven't approved the prosecution of two former ministers and the request for the arrest of one former minister. Do you consider the immunity of members of parliament or ministers should cover even criminal offenses or only their political speeches?
One of the basic or principles, tenets of democracy is that everyone is equal before the law, that no one should be above the law. And again, for people to have faith in their government, to anchor the public trust, it's important that no one be immune and that impunity is attacked very aggressively. Because again, that goes to the center of a strong democracy and the integrity of public institutions.
What else can be done in case of non-approval from Parliament of an investigation for a minister or member of parliament. You have spoken about, citing about non-conviction based forfeiture as a key to overcoming common hurdles to asset recovery, such as the death, flight, or immunity of an offender.
Whether it's asset forfeiture, asset confiscations, anti-corruption can be very, very powerful if there is a strong will to implement a lot of powerful tools, and more importantly, to enforce the laws, and to really be able to, again, address the issues of impunity. And because whether it's illicit wealth or abuse of power, anti-corruption tools are very, again, important to really garner the public trust and faith by the Romanian people in their elected officials and in their government. Non-conviction is a very important trend in international law, and a lot of countries are really embarking on that, to be able to use different mechanisms to seize, again, proceeds of crime or proceeds of corruption in a way that was not available before. So it's, again, a very powerful tool that many countries are undertaking to, again, be able to more aggressively go after criminal and corrupt behavior.
In Romania, some top politicians don't have a problem to criticize justice verdicts. They say it's no need the defendants charged with corruption to be prosecuted behind bars. And they say this after the court decisions that keep those persons in jail. In the US, do politicians the same?
You know, I will not necessarily address so much the U.S., but I think it is important, again, to keep the bigger picture in perspective, because, again, the issues are an issue of integrity and go to the heart of governance or governments to be able to function in a way that garners public trust. You know, issues of freedom of speech are fine, but again, the citizens and communities obviously will be the judge of those views and voices, whether it's parliament or other parts of the community.
Last year in Rome, you have spoken about a campaign in Palermo where citizens said to the mobsters, to the criminals, enough is enough. Also here in Romania, do Romanians need change of attitude? Do need more involvement in fight against crime and especially against corruption?
I would answer yes, because, you know, in that special campaign, anti-corruption campaign, it was the Addio Piso, where a community in Palermo said enough was enough. But that goes again to the heart of how that community determined the impact and the harms of corruption, and how it was really, again, taking away from their future potential, and how the communities wanted a better way of life, and they wanted more integrity in their government. So I think whether it's in Romania, whether it's in Italy, whether it's in the U.S., I think people are being more fed up. In China, people are more fed up with corruption as well. So this is a good example on how mobilizing and really raising the issues of accountability, of transparency, and other, again, anti-corruption tools are very important to really empower communities to demand more of their government. So collectively, when communities mobilize, more and more governments tend to listen to their concerns.
Okay, Mr. Luna, thank you for this interview.
Well, thank you very much, Alex.